We're on our last chapter of third grade angels. We're going to read chapter 17, and then I want you to make sure that you do your chapter 17 questions, okay? All right, let's get to it. Chapter 17. Surprise! I almost fell over. Hi, Mrs. Morton, she said with a big smile on her face. Hi, Suds. I almost fell over again. Called me Suds? She laughed. Well, I'm in your territory now, so Suds it is. My mother invited her in. We sat in the living room. My mom offered her tea or coffee or juice, but she said no thank you. The smile didn't go away. But it did change. She took a deep breath. She spoke to my mother. I felt I should stop by because now she spoke to me. I could see how the events of the day were affecting Suds. What was she talking about? Did your son tell you that the first halo went to Constantina Pappas, she said. Yes, he did, said my mother, as soon as he got home from school. Mrs. Sims reached over and gave me a knee pat, as if I did something great. Good, she said. And I was happy to see you join the others in congratulating Constantina. I know how badly you wanted that halo, Suds. I know how hard you worked for it. I didn't know what to say, and I still didn't know what she was doing in my house. Now she was looking at me like I was the only person in the world. Suds, you are an angel. You'll get your halo soon enough. I got the feeling she could see inside me. You were disappointed you didn't get that halo this morning, weren't you? A little, I said, but not really surprised. Not really? Why not? I thought Darren Trapp would get it. Ah, Darren Trapp. Yes, she looked at my mother, another boss angel. And the Blurts, I said. Her eyes went wide. The Blurts? The first couple days of school, I said. I kept blurting out stuff without raising my hand. I guess that sunk me. Mrs. Sims and my mother both broke out laughing. I don't know what was so funny. When Mrs. Sims stopped laughing, she said, So you must have been really surprised that Constantina Pappas got it. I nodded. Because you didn't even think she was very interested, did you? You didn't think she was even trying. She poked my knee. Did you? No, I said. Well, guess what, she said. What? You were right. She had no interest in getting the halo. Not at all. She wasn't even trying. Really, I said. This was getting more and more confusing. She nodded. Really. And then a funny thing happened. In all my years of doing angel halos, it's never happened before. She stopped talking and just stared at me. After a while, it occurred to me that I was supposed to ask what happened, so I did. What happened? Remember the day that you put the note on my desk, telling me how you saved the runaway dog in the street? Yes. Well, somebody else left a note on my desk. I know, I said. Darren Trapp. She stared at me and my mother. She blinked. She shook her head. No, not Darren Trapp. The note was from Constantina Pappas. I just stared at her. She leaned in toward me. Would you like to know what Constantina's note said? Okay. Her note told me the same thing yours did. I was more confused than ever. Huh? I said. She told me she was up the street that day and she saw the whole thing. She saw how you ran into the street and stopped the little dog from being hit by the car. She said it was such a wonderful thing you did that, and she thought I ought to know. She wanted me to know that you were an angel even after school. Oh, I heard my mother say. I looked at her, and her eyes were glittery, and that's why I gave the first halo to Constantina Pappas, said Mrs. Sims, because, yes, she was trying to get the first halo, not for herself, but, she smiled, for somebody else. My mom gave a little whistle. She was fanning her face with her hand. Mrs. Sims stood up. Well, gotta go. Speaking of dogs, it's way past Mr. Moto's bedtime, or dinner time. At the door, Mrs. Sims turned and gave my mother a hug. Then she hugged me. The door was shut when suddenly I thought of something. I pulled open the door. She was almost to the sidewalk, and I called, Mrs. Sims! My mom says you have spies. Joey Peterson says no. Who's right? Behind me, my mother was laughing so hard. I thought she might get sick. So was Mrs. Sims. She was wobbling. She hardly made it to her car. I never got an answer. All right, guys, that's the end. So your question for the day is, what was your favorite part about this book? Let me know.